My name is Chuck Aurin, and I've been around the block a few times. I've done a lot of things, and I had a whole lot of fun doing the Keith Andrew Network show tonight. You should keep an eye on this. I think this guy's going someplace.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Keith Andrew Network, the one and only Keith Andrew Network. Today, it's a special episode. It's 600, well, all our episodes are very special for that matter. But today, it's 650. That's right, we're on the road to 700. 650. Today, we have Chuck Aurin. I just want to say thank you for being a guest on my talk show.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
The honor is all mine. For people who want to know what my talk show is about, whole point of my talk show is to show people that even with having a learning disability, I can still amount to something. And at the same time, I'm able to turn myself into an example for people out there dealing with any types of learning disabilities and disabilities to never give up and prove people wrong. Prove to them that labels do not dictate who you are and who you want to be. Is to prove to them you still amount to something. So hashtag break the labels. That being said, for people who want to know who Mr. Chuck is, you are a... Actually, I should have actually do that before we got started.
Okay.
I put down talk show. Are you a talk show host?
I used to be. I used to have a radio talk show on AM radio down in West Palm Beach called Supernatural Crossroads.
Oh, nice. I would love to talk to you about that. But
Okay.
when I saw it on your Instagram, and it said talk show, so I'm like, okay, write down talk show. And I went to say it, and I'm like, was he a talk show host, or did he have a talk show? So that's why I had my brain firing. But anyway, like you were a talk show host, you are a professional actor, you work in sports, you're also a writer, you ghostwrite books.
I have. Mm-hmm.
If you're interested, I'd love to hire you for a project. And
Hey, we can talk.
And one thing that really caught my interest, that I really liked for the longest time, I've been trying to have police officers on the show. So first off, thank you for your service.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
And you are a former captain.
That's correct. Mm-hmm.
So before we get into, because we always talk about, acting and sports and writing, I want to ask you about your police years.
Sure.
So what was it a family trade that everyone in your family was a police officer, or like your father, grandfather?
My family was very much into public service. My grandfather was a New York City police detective. I had an uncle with the NYPD. My dad, he was not a police officer. He was a fireman. He was an EMT, and today is the 1 year anniversary of his passing. I still miss him terribly. He's the one that got me interested into public service and that type of thing. And from an early age, when I was 12 years old, I was part of the junior fire department in my hometown in Charlestown, Rhode Island. And when I was 15, I became an EMT, and my dad and I were 2/3 of a 3-man ambulance crew for volunteer ambulance service. And then after that, I decided that I was going to go into the military, and I became a military police officer in the Air Force for a number of years. And then it just kept on going from there, and I just stayed a police officer until I retired about 12 years ago now. Actually, more like 13 years ago. So, and as far as it being a family vocation, all 3 of my children are in law enforcement. My oldest daughter is with Texas Department of Corrections as a correctional officer. My son is with St. Cloud Police Department, and my daughter is with Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office as a sheriff's deputy.
Oh, nice. Hey, if I ever get into trouble, God forbid, I know who to call.
Well, I don't know what I can do for you up there in New York, but just give me a call anyway.
Now, the first question I was going to ask you is, what inspired you to be a police officer?
Just a genuine desire to help people. I've always liked helping people. I've always enjoyed that aspect of the job. Um, Throughout my career, I was very very lucky to be with some very large agencies, the Air Force, for example, and then with some smaller agencies. And when you're with a smaller agency, you become a jack of all trades. So when I was with a smaller agency, I was in charge of the detective division, and I was trained as a homicide detective, a sexual assault investigator, an arson investigator. I was with Homeland Security for a while. I got to do a whole bunch of different things in my career, and then as my career progressed, it just became less and less police work and more meetings and teaching people and things like that, and it just wasn't for me anymore. Went on and did other things.
Well, let me ask you this, because I want to go step by step in your career. So you're now a police officer. What was the next? Let's talk about taking the ladder. What was the next step that you had to take?
Well, in each department, it was a little bit different. I was with several different departments. The last department that I was with for an extended period of time, I tested for an investigator's position while I was a patrolman. I got that position. I stayed as an investigator. I basically skipped the corporal and sergeant ranks, and then I became a lieutenant. When I was a lieutenant, I was given several different assignments from the administrative division to the training division to the detective division, internal affairs, homeland security, you name it, pretty much I did it. And then from there, there was no test for captain. It was just a promotion. And that's pretty much where I finished up my career.
No, absolutely. Don't mind me. I was just looking at my reflection, and if I'm looking away, I do apologize. I'm just trying to stay focused on what way the camera is.
You do what you got to do, brother.
But the next question I want to ask you, and if I do look away, I do apologize because I'm trying to stay focused right on the camera. So
Right.
if it looks like right now I'm avoiding eye contact, I'm actually staring right at you. I'm staring right at the camera. It's a work
Well,
in progress.
I'm trying to do the same thing. This is actually I had to download Skype today because I've never really used it before. So this is an experiment for me, and I appreciate the opportunity to try it out with you.
No, absolutely. So when I'm looking straight like this, am I making eye contact or am I looking away?
You're looking straight at me, bro.
All right, so that's all that matters. If
Mm-hmm.
I dawdle off, just do like one of those, right?
You're good.
Now, the next question I was going to ask you, especially with everything going on today, with the corona disease, they're asking former law enforcement people to come out of retirement. Were you asked to come out of retirement to help?
Uh, if I was asked, I would definitely go, but I believe that I've been gone too long. It's funny. My kids will talk to me and they'll ask me my opinion on certain cases that they have and things like that. So I think the mental faculties are there, but as far as actually going back to active duty, I don't think that. I think I've been gone too long now.
Hey, if you don't lose it, it's good to have. And it's funny because look at the show Blue Bloods, because their kids always goes to Tom Selleck and always asks his opinion on cases. So in a way, in your family, you're Tom Selleck.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. That's the first time I've ever been called Tom Selleck, but I'll take it.
Now, the next question, going back to your police years, after you were a detective, and now you're taking your test to become, I was going to say corporal, but corporal's in the military. What was the very last thing before you were the captain? Like, how did it come about?
That was a new chief who came in, and he decided that if you were going to be in charge of a division, and at that time I was the commander of the detective division and the Homeland Security and Internal Affairs, he decided that at that point in time all of his commanders should be captains. So he made me a captain at that point in time.
No, absolutely. And I bet, you have a lot of funny stories to tell over the years since you were a captain.
Well, there's a lot of funny stories. There's a lot of not so funny stories, but yeah, there's been some times out there that it was more fun than not. And of course, there are some times, somebody once described being a police officer as 99% boredom and 1% sheer terror, and that's pretty much what the job is like. One of the things I liked about it best was that you just never knew from day to day what was going on.
No, absolutely. Now, I don't know how different it is from like New York to Texas, and but let me just ask you, from where you are and from where I am, do you guys use body cams or not really?
Body cams weren't a thing in my day. Those are pretty much something within the past 10 years, and we didn't have them. Again, I've been out for 13, 14 years now. My son's department uses them. My daughter's department does not.
Personally, I think it's a good idea because it's no more he said, she said. But anything with the video, people can corrupt and edit, and that's why you should have like a live feed so everyone can. I mean, not even saying a live feed would be good because anyone can hack into it and just sit there, and eating popcorn and whatever. But if you had a live feed, like went back to the police barracks, and they get to see what's going on, and then you have someone taking notes or recording it on their end, or if anything happens, it isn't one-sided. You have multiple people, kind of like Big Brother's watching, if in a way.
Well, in today's society, and again, this is something that I didn't deal with back in the day, but in today's society, everybody's always watching. Everybody carries a camera in their pocket that they can live feed and do whatever they need to do and all that. And it makes the job easier in a lot of ways, but in some ways it makes the job tougher, to be totally honest, in my opinion. And again, I didn't have to deal with that in those days. But I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. I do believe that there should be some kind of oversight in all kinds of law enforcement. Again, speaking as a former internal affairs officer, these cameras, whether it's body cams or whether it's the cameras that the public has or whatever, they can exonerate an officer as well as condemn an officer. If an officer is doing something bad, personally, I don't want him on the job. He makes all of us look bad. If the officer is accused of something that he didn't do, then, I'd like to see the camera footage showing that he was wrongly accused and, he's being found innocent, and, there's so many different things, and any good attorney will, they can take any piece of footage and they can spin it to their purposes as necessary.
No, absolutely. Now we're going to take a quick commercial break. And when we come back, I'm going to ask you about your talk show, being an actor, and being a... Let me rephrase that. Like I said, when I don't do something that way, my disability is so smart. So we're going to take a commercial break. When we come back, we're going to talk to you about your talk show, being an actor, being in sports. So I don't know if you were a sports entertainer. I just saw you just worked on sports. And also being a writer, especially the writing thing, I was very interested to talk to you about.
Party. Hey, I'm Laura Menino.
Hi, I'm Deborah Jensen.
I'm Linda Collins.
Hi, I'm Marissa Joy Davis.
This is Michelle Wong.
I'm Nancy Rose.
My name is Brandy Hunt. And
hello, my name is Raven Wynn.
Hi there, my name is Giovanna Vidal.
Hi, I'm Monica Thomas.
Hi, I'm Paisley Blackburn.
I'm Ashley Burgess.
Hi, my name is Jeanette Abney.
Hi, I'm Sharon Spank.
Hey, this is Samantha Moore.
Hi, I'm Melody Jones.
Hi, my name is Becky Yee.
Hi, you're watching the Keith Andrew Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Keith Andrew Network. It is episode 650. That is right, the one and only 650. Today, I'm here with Chuck, my good friend Chuck. Now, off the air, you explained to me what sports meant, and you actually told me you were a wrestler. With that being said, as you know, all you know for that matter, I am a big wrestling fan. Now, the first thing I want to talk to you about is wrestling. Now, the first one I'm going to ask you is, how many years were you a wrestler, referee, timekeeper, and what organizations have you actually worked for?
Well, I've worked for a lot of independent organizations, and the vast majority of my career was as a wrestling referee. However, when I was training, when I got into the business, when I finally broke in, the school that they sent me to, the trainer basically said, I don't train referees, I train wrestlers. So you can either stick around and do that, or you can hit the road. And it's something I've always wanted to do ever since I was a little kid. I was 39 when I broke into the business, so I wasn't a young kid. I was in a little bit better shape back then. Again, we're talking 20 years ago. And, I trained to be a wrestler. I had a very short career as a wrestler, primarily because I sucked. It just, again, being too old and trying to pick up a new skill set like that. My goal was to be a referee, but, they would still throw me in gimmick matches, referee versus referee matches. Since I went to wrestling school, I knew how to take bumps, and I worked for a lot of people that took advantage of that. And when I say took advantage, I don't mean against my will. I mean they took advantage of the fact that they could toss me around, they could throw me through tables, they could throw me on thumbtacks, they could set me on fire, they could do all these weird and wonderful things that they want to do, and I wouldn't complain about it. So that led into I worked for Future Wrestling, I worked for 4-Star Championship Wrestling, IPW Hardcore out of Tampa. I worked for NWA Fusion. I was the Florida Hardcore Champion 2 different times, which I defended and lost in North Carolina twice. So even though it was a Florida championship, I went ahead and I lost it and retained it and lost it again up there. This eventually developed into a promoter who took over the FOW, the Future of Wrestling. He decided he was going to create a persona for me where I was the director of operations for the group. I was basically the Vince McMahon of the group, but I was also the senior official of the group. I was also the manager of the heavyweight champion, and I was also the hardcore champion. So it made it look like I was trying to take control of everything that was going on in this group. And it was a lot of fun times. That gentleman who was the promoter and the heavyweight champion at that time, he eventually became my tag team partner. We wrestled in cosplay wrestling, like at Florida SuperCon and things like that. We wrestled as the Super Mario Brothers. I was Luigi, he was Mario. And we had a blast doing that, and it was a lot of fun. Somebody else was trying to call me. I just downloaded Skype today, and all of a sudden somebody else is trying to call me. Sorry about that. But anyway, I've been doing it for a long time now. I worked a show last month. I'm the senior official for a group called USA Pro, which we drew about 600-700 people for each show that we do, and we had guys like Carlito and Scott Steiner on the show. Jake Hager was on the show before he went to AEW. In front of a large crowd was with it was Dusty Rhodes versus Abdullah the Butcher versus Kevin Sullivan versus Terry Funk, and it was. And that just locked it in for me, and I've done it ever since.
No, absolutely. And you mean NWA Power, right?
Not NWA Power, NWA Fusion, which was a local group down here. The former NWA champion, the Sheik, he pretty much had me as his personal referee because I grew a following, and I was known as the hardcore ref because, you know, if I was in a match, you could be pretty sure at some point in time, at least every other show, I was going to end up bleeding in a heap on the floor somewhere. So, you know, but yeah, I've never been injured in professional wrestling. I've been hurt plenty, but I've never been injured. But, you know, my body's breaking down from all kinds of different things. I've had 3 neck surgeries. I'm facing a shoulder surgery coming up here as soon as this crisis is over and done with. You know, little things like that. I mean, I'm getting too old for it, to be honest with you. Last year, former former WWF superstar Alex Corto, the Pug, inducted me into the Orlando Legends, which was very, very nice and unexpected. But you know, so I feel like I've made my mark on the business, and I'm going to continue to do it as long as I'm physically able to.
No, absolutely. Hey, look, for a perfect example, if you're capable of doing what you love, then there's absolutely no reason to stop doing it. What a perfect example is look at The Undertaker. You know, a lot of people say Undertaker should retire, but he's still there. Hulk Hogan, you know, I don't know why he's going for the Randy Savage beard, but, you know, he's still doing his thing. And look at Ric Flair. So, as long as you're out there, you can do it, but as you just pointed out, there comes a time where you're like, you know what, I can't do it anymore. And a perfect example of that, a dream match was supposed to happen 20 years ago, happened recently. It was Bill Goldberg and The Undertaker.
Mm-hmm.
It was a good build-up. It wasn't great. It was decent, but it was a horrible match because Goldberg kept dropping Taker on his head. And a match was supposed to be 20 minutes. They said, you know what, knock it down to 10. So if you're not who you say you used to be, then get the hell out of the ring, number one, because you're embarrassing yourself. And if you're going to constantly drop somebody, you know, intentionally or by accident, more than once, that's a sign of right there that you're doing something wrong or something's not right.
You're absolutely right. I mean, you know, I'm still capable of picking, you know, good-sized guys up and body slamming and stuff, but I'm not jumping off any top ropes. You know, I'll get tossed through the ropes from time to time, but you know, I'm trying to do the best I can. Last month I worked a match with Joey Ryan, and are you familiar with Joey?
Yes.
I took his signature move. Let's put it that way, and I was at the urgent care clinic the next day getting a cortisone shot in my hip because, you know, I'm just, you know, I shouldn't be doing that kind of stuff anymore. But I got a pop out of it. You know, the crowd was happy with it. They wanted it. He was actually working Scott Steiner, and Scott Steiner said, I'm not doing it. So the promoter came up to me and says, hey, do you mind doing it? And it's like, I'll do whatever you need, Chief. Just send me in there.
Hey, just give me a paycheck. Yeah. I don't.
Hey, gotta be a team player, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Off the air, I do have a couple questions for you. Maybe you can hook me up with some of the people you know. But what I do want to talk to you real fast is you are a professional actor and you are a professional writer. The first one I want to ask you is, what came first, being a professional actor or being a professional writer?
Well, my writing skills came as a result of years and years and years as a police detective. You know, every police officer carries a gun, but the mightiest weapon that you have is the typewriter or the word processor, now the computer. But if you can't write a good report, then you're done as a police officer. So you have to do very, very well with your writing. And my writing skills just continue to grow and grow and grow. I had auditioned for a film years ago. I auditioned for the original Pet Cemetery up in Bangor, Maine, when I was a Bangor, Maine police officer. And I got called back for a screen test, and it's something I always wanted to do, but I really didn't have the freedom to do it because, over time with police, with the police job and stuff like that, you never knew when you were going to work. You really couldn't commit to anything. So when I finally retired, I decided I would give that a try, and I did a couple of independent movies down here, which networking got me involved with getting, working with an agency that got me some commercials. And then I don't act often, but I enjoy doing it. I did a lot of student films for a lot of the schools in South Florida and here in Central Florida. And I've done some independent films where I've really, really enjoyed it. One of the independent films I did is you can watch it on Amazon Prime. And it was a lot of fun doing it. And the director, the writer, and the main actor was all the same person. And it was a very loose set. We did things by the script, and then we were allowed to improvise and have fun with it. And the rest is history. Now it's on Amazon Prime, so I get to show it off to all my friends and all that stuff, and it's a lot of fun. And then I did a major motion picture as a background performer last year. I worked on Waves down in South Florida, and again, a really, really good shoot and a lot of fun. The writing part of it came about when I was working as a manager for a movie theater shortly after I retired, and this gentleman came in, and he was coming in constantly. He always come to the movies, and he and I got to talking. I was running a bar at this movie theater at the time, and he would come to the bar and he'd sit and chat. And as it turns out, he had a company where he was doing public relations, things like that. He asked me if I could go ahead and submit a sample of my writing because he had heard that I'd written some articles in the past for local newspapers and things like that. I went ahead and gave him a copy of some stuff that I've written, and he put me right to work. Within 6 months, I was director of communications for his company, and he gave me different projects. I got to work on some reputation management with some people. I got to work public affairs with some people, almost like publicist duties for some celebrities that I'm not allowed to talk about and things like that. And that got me into working with some people, doing a little bit of ghostwriting and polishing up some chapters on some books that people had written, writing some articles for some magazines to promote some of our clients, things like that.
No, absolutely. And I do have a couple questions for you off the air. But wrapping up, how can people follow you on social media? Are you on LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, or any other websites that I did not mention?
If you search for me by name, you can find me on all of those platforms. I have 2 Twitter accounts. One is The Reality Chuck, not The Reality Check, but The Reality Chuck, all one word. And the other one is Ghost Ref Chuck. The Reality Chuck was one that I started when I worked for the writing company. That's where I have most of my followers because I had a lot of people follow me there. My Instagram is Reality Chuck. My Facebook is, I have 2 pages. I have a professional wrestling page. It's Ghost Ref Chuck. And I have my regular one just under Chuck Aurin. So I'm on all those platforms.
No, absolutely. And I did send you a friend request as soon as before we actually got the chance to do this. My last question for you is, when I first approached you to be a guest on my talk show, what was your first, and you can be completely honest, when I first approached you to be a guest on my talk show, what was your first honest opinion? What made you say yes? And after being a guest, how do you feel now, and what do you recommend to other people?
Okay, my first honest opinion when you sent me the request was, do I know this guy? How does he know me? How did he find me? I thought it might possibly be one of these scam things, but again, when I worked in police work, I worked in computer crimes. I'm pretty good at reaching out and finding a scam. I looked at your social media contacts that you put on the thing. on the email, and I looked at the waiver that I signed, and that was a professional waiver. I'm very familiar with waivers of that type. Used to do them all the time when I had my radio show. And I figured out you were the real deal, so I reached back and I decided, yeah, I'd be interested in doing it. Now, why was I interested in doing it? I'm actually in the process of developing my own podcast. I hope to have it started next month. And since I haven't been in broadcasting in a while, my show was about 10 years ago, I decided that I would like to get on the air and do some of these podcasts, get my chops back, so to speak. This is the first one I've done, especially a video one. I have a face for radio, the old joke, but there it is, and I decided I was going to go ahead and give this a try. And I'm always up for meeting new people. I had no idea how you found me or why you decided to do this, but I'm glad that you did. And what do I think now? I as we talked off the air, during the commercial break, I'm impressed with this. This is a lot of fun. It's very interesting. I think you're doing a great job. I like what you're doing, and I like the reasons why you're doing it. And I wish you tons and tons of success in anything I can do to help you move along. Be more than happy to help.
No, absolutely.
And when I do my podcast, you got to be a guest on mine. How's that for a deal?
Absolutely. Just let me know. I will definitely be a guest.
Sounds good.
And my last question is, I do want to save it for off the air, but wrapping up, it was a real honor and privilege having you as a guest, and I'm looking forward to part 2 down the road.